self-serving, persuasive talkers
of everything and nothing.
We are Conversation Con Artists.
What's going on, people? It's your boy, Mr. On Point.
And I am Calamity Red, bitches.
And we are Conversation Con Artists, back for another wonderful episode. Like, back. Motherfuckers. What happened, Red?
It's been a while, man. It's I'm sure people are like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, y'all came and did one episode, like you're back.
Yeah, no, we're back this time.
So
a lot of shit has changed. So.
Yeah. If y'all didn't know what was going on, what happened basically is I moved to Hawaii for a year, and the time difference made it really hard for me to be consistent enough to accommodate Red's schedule. And her job changed, and so it made a bunch of different complexities where it was better to just stop recording than to record and be inconsistent with it, in my opinion. Yeah. But now I have relocated to Charlotte, North Carolina, on the other side of the world. And so we're going to, not the other side of the world, but the other side of the United States. Yeah. Like from one extreme to the next. But we're just gonna freestyle some updates, for real. So what's going on with you, Red?
So probably and I hate that this is like probably the biggest thing, but probably the biggest change is I am officially off the market and have a boyfriend, which is still difficult for me to say.
But you said it.
But
that's the important part.
It's getting a little bit easier. So it's like 5 months in, which is really long for me. And so that's been an adjustment. It's been bringing out some shit I didn't realize I still needed to work on myself. It's been making me like have to taper some of the independence that I have because I'm used to doing whatever the fuck I want to do, and now I have somebody that cares about what the fuck I'm doing, and adjusting to that has been definitely an adjustment. But he cool and it's going well. He already knows that I'm crazy. I ain't even did anything. Like, he just feel like I have crazy energy. I was like, okay. I mean, I've not done anything to you, but all right. Keep that though. Keep that in the back of your mind so you don't fuck up.
The best relationship to have with Red is when you're never in the eyes of problems. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's an amazing relationship to know that she okay with you, but crazy with other people. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I don't think we done had no beefs. See, what me and Red have is moments where she be so fucking irritated with something I done did, but like, she also knows that like I don't deserve the goddamn rap that she'll put out on a motherfucker stranger, and so she kind of like hold it in, and I be like, I know you mad at me because of this and that, but we can't do shit about it now, so you might as well get with the program, and then we regulate at some point. But that's it. It ain't never been no hard line, oh shit, I fucked up with Red.
I mean, there are people, because I feel like our whole little podcast group, I guess, I don't feel like I ever been wild out on any of them. There are people in my life like that are like, they got like a ton of get out of jail free cards where like I don't wild out or like I don't feel a need to. Right now, the boyfriend's in that category because he hasn't done anything. Like, we've had like minor little things, but it's been like that getting to know you. Okay, this how you are, this how I am. Kind of hiccup. We both got sick, and I ain't like how I was treated. And so we had to hash that out. But like, it's been very, very minor things. Overall, he seems to be a very good guy. And I don't know. And I mean, listen, I could find shit. You feel me? Like, if there's something to find, I will find it. And that doesn't mean that there's nothing like at all, for him at all. But like, right now, I don't see anything. Like, he's not perfect, but like, it's nothing that is any of my deal breakers. None of those things have happened. And so we met Facebook dating, in case, because I feel like that might be a question that somebody may ask. So randomly enough, that's where we met. Never thought that would be my meeting story.
So
But
when I was in Hawaii, I was in a relationship. Her and I broke up in the middle of that trip. I kind of spent a little more time in Hawaii after that. But my father started calling like, hey, come stay with me. He had been doing this the whole year. He was like, hey, y'all can come stay with me if you want to. And so when we broke up, my grandma thought that it was something health related, like your daddy being nice. He asking you to move out there with him. He finna die. You need to go live with him. You need to go spend some time with your daddy. And I'm like, Ernie, I don't. It might not be that. And she was like, so I moved in with my dad. And I tell people, like people that I talk to on the phone or people I meet on dating sites, I'm just interested in talking to friends, really, but I'm like, look, I just want to let you know up front that I'm a scrub. I live in my daddy's house. I don't pay no bills. I drive his car. You got to be okay with that. Now, it's way more context to that situation.
I was just gonna say, nigga, like, no.
Listen, you gotta have a filtering system. You know what I'm saying? You gotta get the ones that gonna have a problem with that out the way, and then boom, everything is a surprise after that. If they accept you with the bullshit there, then everything else after that gonna just be a pleasant surprise to the situation,
Yeah.
But I'm here. He's not sick. In the immediate sense, like he had last cancer treatment recently. But a lot of these conversations are probably gonna come to stuff like I'm learning about my dad right now. I've never lived with him before, and so at 37, I'm just now moving in with him and whatnot. So,
the
that's
fact
pretty
that you
much
have a father that you can do that with. My dad would be dead. I would have murdered him by now. Like, and I really wish that I was joking, but like, I really feel like I would have poisoned that nigga by now.
my daddy almost died before I got here. His blood sugar dropped to 25.
Goddamn.
And my stepmama happened to come downstairs and see him on the bed, like trying to talk but couldn't talk. Called the people, they came, fed him peanut butter sandwiches. They got his sugar up basically, and he stopped drinking, and he's become a lot more aware of his like health and diet and stuff because of that. And so, yeah, I think that transformed him in a lot of ways, in terms of what has become important to him versus what was important to him. And I think that the struggle he having internally is this desire to be different, but having so many years of the pattern that he's had, that pattern come out and say, hey, this is what I want you to do. But the new shit is like, hey man, you trying to be different though. And he just like, I think some inner conflict. But this is just me breaking.
How do you purposely drop somebody's blood sugar? Like, maybe my dad needs a near-death experience.
See, I've been trying to get you on getting your daddy out of here.
No, you've been trying to get me to kill the nigga. Like,
no, that the way you frame that comes with implications that are not about what I'm talking about. I'm just saying, if he happens to die from something that you do, then that ain't killing him. That's like aiding in his demise, but ain't killing him. You know what I'm saying? He already killing himself.
he is already killing him.
Life killing him. He killing him. You just be helping him, basically. But I don't know. Your daddy is walking the earth on a piece of paper. I feel like your daddy is like, they walking a tightrope. He is walking on a college rule sheet of paper. And I don't know why he's still alive.
Because evil never dies. Like, me and my brother joke about that, but like, I really feel like evil just never dies. And so he gets close. He gets close enough for everybody to be like, and then it's nothing. Like, then you be disappointed. So, I don't know. And this sounds so terrible. For anybody that's listening that does not know or heard the previous conversations about my dad, this just sounds like I sound like a dick right now, probably. But there's reasons for this. I feel I have lots of valid reasons.
Some of y'all are so enmeshed with your family and have such a positive relationship with your parents that it's really hard to conceptualize hearing something like this and believing that it's a reason to have that kind of conversation. But you know, it's jokes and kind of damn serious a little bit. But yeah, no, I don't think it depends on what your daddy issues are. Like my daddy issue is related to like his blood sugar. So like when I got here, there was bags of M&Ms all over the place, glucose sugar pill. It's like my sugar ain't dropping like that no more. Like he got, it's like he set up the pop pills and sugars that's gonna help him all around the clock because he don't like this. He don't want like that feeling again.
I don't know what my dad's health problems are because he won't go to the doctor. That's what I'm saying. Like he just a tough old bird. Like he don't even go to the doctor or nothing. Like he gets sick, he gets really, really ill. He don't go to the doctor. Like the only time that he's seen by a doctor is if it's bad enough to where he has to be rushed to the hospital. They're the only times. And you know, they only trying to stabilize you in the emergency room. They're not trying to like find out what's really going on. They'll stabilize you and then you're supposed to follow up. And that nigga don't never follow up. So like he have a bevy of different illnesses. We don't fucking know. He don't know neither.
You know, how country do you have to be for the chicken back to be your favorite part of the chicken?
The chicken back.
The chicken back is my daddy's favorite part of the chicken.
What is that even? That's a thing?
Yeah, it is a thing.
You can buy chicken backs?
Well, if you buy the whole chicken to cook, then there's a chicken back on that.
I don't think I've ever heard of anybody refer to it.
I haven't either.
As a chicken back.
You used to buy wings, but wings be scarce these days, and so he buy a whole chicken. And
I mean, I get that part, but a chicken back.
But you know how country you got to be for that shit. It's too country.
I mean, my dad eat chicken feet. That's how country he is. Have you ever seen a chicken foot? It ain't even no meat on there. This nigga eat chicken feet, and it look just like what it is. The little skinny feet still has nails on it.
On an earlobe with a bone in it. Was it like chewing on an earlobe with a bone in it? I mean, that's what it looked like.
Cartilage. Yeah, that's what it looked like. But it's the nails are still on. Like if you look at a chicken foot, that's exactly. It's pale, and it looks exactly like a chicken foot because that's what it is. He eats those.
My brother's wife is her family's from Trinidad, and they went over there for a funeral. And my brother said they all sat down at the table to eat, and the grandma brought out some chicken foot stew, and he was like, "Oh." But you know how in a family full of people who like, "Oh, chicken foot stew, yeah." Can you really be like, "I ain't eating that shit"?
Well, I would get the stew. Like I wouldn't get a foot, and I would get just a little bit so that I would be participating.
But
I couldn't have a foot. Like, don't give me a foot.
But think about it. If somebody had pig foot stew and I got some stew, but not the foot, I would still feel some kind of like weird about it.
Foot?
It just because it's a chicken foot and it looked like a fucking stick that fell off a tree, don't change the fact that it's a animal's foot.
It is an animal's foot. It is. They look weird. If you're listening and you've never seen, like, I know you probably like look up like frozen chicken feet or like the kind that you buy out of the store, not like an actual, to see what. I don't know why they pale, right? Chicken feet are like yellow, right? But like when they are cut off and put in packaging, they're pink. They just look like uncooked chicken. But like how does it lose the color? I don't understand it. Confused.
Have you ever been into a Mexican grocery store?
Yeah.
Bro, if you go over to like the meat section, they have this. The ones in Birmingham. You ever go to the meat section? They just got a big glass container just full of chicken feet. And I've never looked at wings, legs, and breasts and be like, damn, poor chickens. But I looked at all the chicken legs and I was like, damn, poor chickens. And I guess when it doesn't look like something that was connected to an animal, it's easier to accept.
Yeah.
But when it's something that looks like it's a part of the animal, that makes it a little bit harder. The only thing that I can eat that look like it came from the animal is crab legs because you never see crabs alive for real.
Yeah.
But everything else, if it looked like it came from the animal, I'm having some kind of inner struggle with that.
The only time I've been in like a Mexican is when we did a video, YouTube video of eating Mexican candy. We only went to the candy section. I didn't go to like the rest of it. I don't even know if they had, because that was like a really small little tienda. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. That's strange. I'm still working the job that I had at the time that we stopped doing the podcast, I think. And it's cool, working for a Black-owned agency has been great. It's a whole different vibe than I've had in any of the other jobs that I've worked in. So that's still been going good. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
The job. So when I came here, my dad was also like, "Hey, you can work with me too," and I was like, "Oh, cool. I'll work with you." And basically, it's the most boring shit I've ever done in my life. Counseling is what I chose to do for my career. It's entertaining. I like counseling. It's challenging. It's rewarding. It helps me socially. I get to communicate with people, learn stories, and now I still do counseling, but on the side, I also check mark boxes all day long.
You've not worked in an office. I think is this your first office job?
Yeah, the only thing that's saving the job is just 2 hours worth of work spread out over an 8 hour work day. So it's so much stuff I do in between time of doing the actual like work. So
that's what working in an office usually is. Like, I got my master's degree while working in an office, and I did homework and all kind of shit while I worked at a damn job. I did so much shit that didn't have nothing to do with work while I was at that damn job. So,
all right. For those of you who are new to the podcast and who are listening to us ramble about random nonsense and going in and out of topics, this is kind of what we do. It is a loosely organized dialogue between two friends who just like to talk and
happen to be therapists. So there are some
both
hidden
therapists.
gems within it.
Yeah.
Sometimes. But that's not at all. This is not a therapeutic. Don't come here for that.
Our dialogues are loosely organized. So we do Reddit letters, which we respond to Reddit letters. If we have listener letters, we will do listener letters from people who have written in. From there, we do news, and that normally takes us out of the show. If there are any topics that you want to talk about, where can they find you?
They're really the only place that I would be responding is Instagram. I don't do a whole lot of social media, man. But red_calamity is my Instagram, and that's the best place to find me.
My Instagram is Mr. MISTER_ on point. My TikTok is Carl_ Young YUNG.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. And you can also send us an email at conversationconartists@gmail.com. Everybody who's ever sent us a listener letter, I will be going in and sending y'all an email and you know that we back. If you're not already listening, because you got a notification that said, boom, Conversation Con Artist. But that being said, let's get into our Reddits.
All right, I miss doing this just because I like, so again, if you haven't listened to the show before, like I go into these rants, okay, like these red rants, but like they're not planned, okay, and so Reddit letters are such a good way for me to be able to just like get really passionate about something and go the fuck off, and I don't get to do that. So I haven't been able to do that. So I'm excited about the possibility because I don't read these. What we do is we look at the title. If the title sounds interesting, so that we're just as surprised, So this is our actual first reactions to these letters. I never read them. I'll just read the title, and if the title sounds interesting, then I will, I'll pick it up. So I plan in the news part to talk about Kanye. So I picked a Reddit that has something to do with Kanye, surprisingly enough. I have a sister that's been traumatized by her brother. A creepy ass friend of the father, and somebody that's having second thoughts about their relationship after 16 years. So you pick.
Oh shit! How many of these we doing? All of them?
I mean, I only have 4, so.
Well, I definitely want to do the Kanye one.
Okay.
But let's do the 16-year relationship one.
All right.
First.
Okay, so the title of this one is 16 years, 2 kids with a woman that I'm starting to have second thoughts about. I wonder if I'm overreacting. And in advance, I apologize for the long post. I like to get the whole story out, and this is kind of my therapy, as there is no one else I could talk to about it. First of all, get a therapist, my nigga. Get an actual therapist. It's my first advice. I have invested 16 years and love my wife dearly. If I had my way, I would never trade my wife for anyone and be with her forever. With that being said, I have noticed that I think there are huge red flags, one of which I recently experienced this last week. Since COVID, I lost my job and have been working on opening my own business, investing in real estate, and doing cash jobs, trying to get out of the rat race. Me and my wife and in-laws have been helping transport vehicles for cash. The job is super chill, basically driving cars from one location to another whenever he needs help. I started to drive a 2-car trailer at night and decided not to drive during the day due to traffic. My wife, on the other hand, kept on driving during the day. Fast forward a couple of months, and some 21-year-old kid from Mexico started living with the owner and helped move cars. The last couple of weeks, she has been driving around all day with this kid, basically driving her to pick up a car and then meeting her at the drop-off location and picking her up and repeating the process all day. I did not think anything about my wife's work situation and never complained about the long hours of her riding with this kid all day. I started to notice the vibe was off whenever I was around, as things were quiet, but I thought to myself, this is just me overtaking. I think he meant overthinking, as I usually do. I asked my wife if he ever crossed the line or was inappropriate, and she, of course, replied with, no, he is a respectful guy, and they don't talk all the time. I needed to know for sure that my suspicions were wrong, but I did not want to keep asking her and showing concern, so I started to monitor the phone calls they were having. To my surprise, I heard a heated 20-minute conversation the two of them had in between pickup and drop-off locations that I drove them to and picked them up from in the 2-car trailer. The conversation basically went where the guy would tell her to pull over so they could fuck. Whoa. My God.
Damn.
And she would reply, there is not enough time and there will be plenty of opportunities in the future. She proceeded to say if he wanted, she could give him a quick hand job, but they never stopped. There was so much more to the conversation, but it's too much to post here. My world shattered when I heard this because I never thought she would do this to me. I didn't say anything, picked them both up, and acted normal. When we were alone, I asked if anything ever happened between them, and she said no. Over the course of a week, I listened to every call, and it sounded like they were fucking based on the conversations they were having, and I decided I would confront her 6 days later one night. I played all the calls, and we went over each one, and she had no reaction of guilt or remorse and said nothing happened. After all was said and done, it turns out this guy asked if she ever cheated on her husband. She said no, and he said there's always a first time. And she said, yeah, I guess that's true. She liked the attention and went along with the whole thing, but never did anything with him. I confronted the guy. He said the same thing, that they never did anything but flirt with each other and a thigh grab. We have had our ups and downs, as all couples do, but I was surprised when I discovered this. Nigga. Sir. Your wife is fucking this little boy, sir. She's fucking him.
Maybe not.
Get out of here.
He don't have hard evidence.
I don't have to have hard evidence. Okay?
Well, I mean, you don't have to have hard evidence, but confronting her as if she was going to say yes ain't where you should make your decision at. You should make your decision at them talking about fucking.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like your wife is getting way too comfortable with a dialogue that she shouldn't be comfortable with in this moment. What was confronting the situation supposed to do?
People do this a lot. I think I don't know. I think they really expect that the person's gonna tell the truth, but that rarely is the case. Like if this were me, and do I want to mention? At some point I'll probably mention what the boyfriend does, but he does a job where he may have like work with somebody, right? And if at any point I overheard conversations that he was having with the person that he worked with, it's gonna be a fucking problem. Like I'm not even finna ask you for no explanation because y'all was talking about fucking very clearly. So ain't nothing to ask. Like I don't even give a fuck at this point if you actually did fuck her or not. Because now what you have done is created mistrust in our relationship. And I'm big on trust. And I also don't feel like if somebody breaks my trust, that it's my job to work on that shit. Like if you fuck that shit up, it's just fucked up. That's just what it is. That's not one of the things I'm willing to work on. It's not. For me personally. And
When
I
I
get
work,
he's
go ahead.
Sorry.
When I work with parents, there is this thing that a lot of parents do that force them to have to look at their kids in two problematic aspects, right? So, and I tell parents, so if you walk in the house and you see cookie crumbs all over the counter and all over the place, and you know the only person that could have accessed the cookies was your child, don't ask them if they went into the cookie jar to see if they be honest with you about having done it. That's a setup because you know they're going to lie. So now you got to look at them as breaking the rules of not being able to have cookies and also a liar. And you feel disrespected because you were lied to. If you know or suspect that what you got the evidence for is going on, you need to give the consequences from the information you've gathered, not from the admission of it, because you're going to have to admits you have to accept something that you don't want to accept. I think in this situation, again, I'm a lot more forgiving of stuff like this. You know what I'm saying? I mean, but for me personally, I would have hard evidence. My but more than anything, it's real clear that he is breaking some kind of rules. Like he's recording every
Like,
single
how
phone
did you
call they
record
got.
it? Yeah,
Yeah, like when he played a bug in the car, something like that.
that's what
Shit,
it sounds like.
I wouldn't like that shit if my partner did that to me. You know, if a bug was planted. But that being said, if I was doing some bullshit while it was planted, then it would be a problem. But if I know that I haven't had sex with that person, even though we've had inappropriate conversations, and your assumption was that we had sex, we gonna have a dilemma. We gonna have a dilemma because now I didn't do the wrong that you thought I did, and you've been recording me impacting the confidentiality of that.
I mean, so again, for me, it wouldn't matter if y'all were just talking about fucking, if you actually fuck. The fact that you're having these conversations and this is our business venture, and really the only solution at this point would be to fire the dude, or he don't even work for y'all. So like really there's no resolution other than like I guess her stepping down and not like traveling. I'm not finna go through all of that. Okay, I don't care. You've planted a seed of doubt in my mind, regardless of whether or not you were actually fucking. At best, the conversations were inappropriate as fuck, and you shouldn't have been having conversations about fucking this little Mexican kid. Okay, shouldn't have been going on. All right. So at this point, because now I don't know if you did or didn't, but before this, I didn't even have like he never thought that she would cheat on him. Trust was not an issue in their relationship until now. I'm not finna, I just ain't. I know me. When I don't trust somebody, like that shit don't get better. And so I'm not gonna put us both through that. I'm not gonna put us both through me questioning every fucking thing that you do. I'm not gonna put us both through me constantly being unhappy. I'm just at this point we just ain't gonna be together. And then you can go pretend to fuck whoever you want to. Or actually fuck them. It don't really matter to me.
I think this is one of those situations where he actually thought he had hard enough evidence to get a confession about having sex out, and that ain't how it turned out.
You know
And
that song by Shaggy, It Wasn't Me, that you caught me on the camera. There are people that you could catch in the middle of the fucking act that will still be like, it ain't what it looked like. They will still lie. They will tell you that your eyes are lying to you. I'm not lying. Your eyes lying.
The conversation you got to have with yourself, though, is what I know now with the inappropriate conversations enough for me to walk away from my relationship, whether they had sex or didn't have sex, before the confrontation. You've got to decide whether you leave it or not, because the confrontation shouldn't be, look at all this evidence. Now, tell me the truth. It should more so be, I'm going to bow out of this relationship. These are the reasons why.
Yep.
If these inappropriate conversations aren't inappropriate enough for you to feel like I should have a problem with it, then to me, it was only a matter of time before y'all actually engaged in sexual activities. It's only a matter of time from the dialogue.
Not convinced that they didn't, just because
she said there are more than enough opportunities.
And
even if she was just bullshitting and gaslighting. So what if he found out that the Mexican kid was really, really aggressive and she was just appeasing him but never intended to do anything? She just didn't want no problems at work.
I mean, that would be different, but that's not what this sounds like. Like, she sounds like, because I feel like if she was just appeasing, like, the part that really got me was him asking about fucking and her being like, well, we don't really have the time, but I could give you a hand job. Like, she offered a secondary thing. That's why I feel like they fucked. We didn't fucked already, but like, I you know you want to fuck today, but we can't. Okay, but like we got enough time for me to like get you off with my hand before we have my husband come back. Like, I'm not buying that they didn't fuck. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I said I got more wiggle room in terms of how I perceive this, but the reality is, if you wanted to engage outside of me, we can have that conversation. You know what I'm saying? Don't do it because you want to do it, and then I just got to deal with the repercussions of it. Nah, that violated our social contract.
Yeah,
you violated our social contract. Can always be amended upon having a dialogue about it. But if you break the conversation, the contract before we have that conversation, nah, I get to decide what I want to do from there. I get to make my decisions whether I want to stay in a relationship or not. It don't even sound like in his letter that he's close to leaving. It sounds like he really just is disappointed.
Yeah.
He's bitching about being disappointed.
I get it. But I just really, even now being in a relationship, and I've been it ain't nowhere near the 16 years of his marriage. I just know me. I hate when people say stuff like, but you gonna throw away 16 years? Bitch, I'm not throwing away 16 years. He did. Did you forget he the one that was out here fucking somebody else? That shit pisses me off when people be like, I'm not throwing away a goddamn thing because I didn't do nothing. What I have done is reacted and responded to some decisions that he made. This is a consequence of his decision. Don't sit up here and act like I'm throwing away my relationship. I can't. That shit piss me off when people say that to folks. Don't say that. Don't say that this person, I'm not throwing away a goddamn thing.
It's more so like you're not going into the trash to get it out.
Exactly.
That's what your role is. It's like he threw the shit away. I'm just not going in the trash can to get it out that motherfucker. And you're mad at me because I'm not going to get it out of the trash can when it got fucking eggshells and all kind of trash can juice in there. Y'all know about trash can juice. That shit that when you pick up the trash on a day when you let it sit a little too long and it drip out on your shoes and on your floor and it stink and you just that shit. Why would I pull a relationship out of that?
And it's not my job. Like that, I really get angry when I hear people say, and all of my friends know better than to say that shit to me. Okay. I'm not throwing away anything. Again, this is a natural consequence to the decisions that he made. So don't come at me talking about I'm throwing away a goddamn thing. I'm not. What I'm deciding is that I'm not going to stay in a situation where I cannot trust my partner. And that is my decision to fucking make. So fuck you. Okay? If you would do something different, great. I hope when your mate fuck around on you that you still keep this same energy. But until then, kiss my ass because I'm not doing it.
I would feel enlightened. I would be like, shit, this situation just saved me more years of fucking being uh what is it? Because essentially, how good can your relationship be if your partner is flirting with a 21-year-old person they met at the workplace?
That you just driving around with. Like all it took, and I mean, I'm sure that you spend a lot of time together with somebody that you work with. I mean, we at work 40 hours plus a week. So you do end up spending quite a bit of time with your coworkers. But all it took was you riding around in this car with this nigga for a little while, and now y'all fucking. Like, that's all it took. After 16, because that's my thing. Okay, you said y'all been together for 16 years, you shouldn't throw it away. I'm saying we've been together for 16 years, you shouldn't have been able to fucking nobody. Like, he ain't caring about the 16 years. She didn't care about it being 16 years. She still went out here and fucked this little 21-year-old. Now I'm supposed to care?
But it means something when, on Reddit especially, when somebody quantifies the relationship without qualifying it.
Yeah.
Because usually people will say, she's the love of my life. She's the best thing that happened to me. I enjoy everything we do. He didn't say that. All he said was, we've been together 16 years.
Yeah.
And so his emphasis on the quantity, like how long we've been together, which, you know, it just might be time, man. Everybody, I've had relationships where, like, most of my relationships have been, really, I think all of my relationships have been seasonal relationships, and they were valuable for the time that they existed. And I learned something from them. I met a person that was amazing, which I see that about all of my exes, which I see that about all of my clients, which I see that about most of the world. Like, we are all an amazing species, I think, and we have a lot of amazing qualities. I don't find people that I can't get something from. You know what I'm saying? But some shit is just seasonal. Sometimes the people in your life only supposed to be in your life for the moment that they was in your life. Hopefully they didn't teach you some valuable life lesson on some bullshit, but you know, sometimes it's time to move on. And time means nothing to time. You know, like, time is a concept. Like, we've attributed our own value to the system of time. So 16 years ain't really nothing. It's just fucking, to the universe, time that we attribute to a relationship like 16 years is just like a speckle of dust in our room that we can't even see floating around. You know what I'm saying? And man, I get into these philosophical thoughts, especially lately, but like, the concept of time is shifting for me in terms of how much we value the quantity of something versus assessing the quality of something. You know, and that's just a shift that's happening for me. That's been happening over the last maybe couple of years.
Yeah.
You know, philosophically thinking. You know, but if that 16 years was good when you had it, then, you know, let it go. Unless you done spent, now if you done spent like $300,000 on this person over the duration of your relationship, then, you know, it costs you maybe more than that loss is going to be worth to you emotionally and financially, you know, but I guess it depends. It's a lot of variables that go along with it.
Yeah. But, you know, I think that when stuff like that happens, what you have to do, because the thing about it is some people are not able to move past that. And I've done couples counseling with people that have had infidelity that were able to kind of come to an understanding and like move forward. But everybody's not capable of that, you know. And I know that I'm not. Like I said, I'm not going to put us both through what I look like when I don't trust somebody. And what that means is that I'm going to always question every fucking thing that you do. What kind of an existence is that? Why would I want to live like that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to do that to myself. I'm also not going to do it to you, because how happy could you be with somebody that doesn't believe anything you fucking say? Like, at this point, it's just no salvaging it. And I know that. And so I'm going to be the one to say, I'm going to walk away. We not even finna do this. Like, I'm not finna waste any more of our time, because that's exactly what it would be for me, because I know me. I know how my personality is. And no, it's a big no.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay, let's do the Kanye one. Because my opinion on Kanye is probably going to be surprising to anybody that's listened to the show and knows how I feel about the Kardashians, but we'll get to that. Okay, this is a 30-year-old female and a 28-year-old man. She said, my boyfriend's obsession with Kanye West has gotten too far up to the point of him stealing my money.
Damn.
Bad business. Me and my boyfriend have dated for 7 years, and he has generally been very sweet to me. My friends made fun of me for being 2 years older instead of 2 years younger than my boyfriend, but we persisted. My boyfriend has been a huge Kanye West fan going back to when he was a kid. Kanye West music isn't my thing, and I don't like him as a person, but I didn't want to prevent him from listening to it, so he would play it sometimes loudly. He would even say what Kanye did. We had political differences as a result. We were both Democrat until Kanye supported Trump. Oh, he really a following ass nigga. Okay. Then my boyfriend became a Trump supporter. Over the last year, he has been particularly obsessed and started calling Kanye's former wife, Kim Kardashian, horrible names once she divorced him. I'm not a Kardashian fan by any means, but I was worried she would be killed as he was advocating for someone to harm Kim and Pete. My boyfriend would shout at me and had to stop himself from hitting me once when I keep telling him Kanye needs professional help. I honestly try not to even bring him up even more, but he won't let me switch the topic. The breaking point was when we were saving money to go on a trip to see my parents. He stole $250 from the account to buy himself the stem player, as that's the only way he could listen to Kanye's next album. He didn't tell me, and I only noticed once the account mysteriously went down. I confronted him, and it led to a shouting match where he calls me a bitch for not supporting Kanye and then just stomps off into his room. I do love my boyfriend, and I spent a long time with him, but I am about to lose my sanity. I'm aware this relationship is probably over, but how can I try to get my boyfriend help for his anger towards me? You can't. Answer to that. You can't. He has to want help, and he doesn't think anything is wrong currently.
And you asking the wrong question. Like, the question started off fine. How can I get help?
Yeah.
It started off fine. For my boyfriend's anger at me, it ended poorly. How can I get help from my boyfriend's susceptibility to the power of celebrity? How can I get help for my boyfriend's irrational fanboying of Kanye? How can I get help with helping my boyfriend understand how to participate in politics? How can I get help with helping my boyfriend understand how problematic the culture of supporting narcissistic abuse? Oh, there's so many different things that you could ask in terms of helping that, but you've ended that question all kind of wrong.
I didn't even know. So I just looked up stem player. I didn't know that there was a specialized streaming service thing that you like that even existed. It is $200 for a little thing that looks like my Google Home. That's like $30 is what it looks like. $200, and it like on the website it says that it ships with Donda 2. Give a fuck. $200, and then I'm sure you have to pay for, let's see, a monthly thing. He's smoking crack. But see, this is the thing. He sounds like Kanye. Like he sounds like, as far as the irrationality and the bad decisions that make total sense in his mind. Like he sounds like, girl, if you don't get out of that shit, listen. The fact that he will become a Trump supporter solely based on the fact that Kanye supported him. Nothing else changed. He didn't agree with none of the Trump policies, which he never really talked about any actual policies that he had for anybody to agree with. But it wasn't like actual reasons other than, well, Kanye supports him. I should too. Like that. Wow. I'm trying to save what I have to say about Kanye, Kim, and Pete, and all that whole situation for when we talk about that. But this is not a situation. I hate when people I don't have people. I have people come for like counseling that will say basically they're coming to counseling to find out how to help a person in their life. When somebody don't even feel like they have a problem, there is not anything you're going to be able to do. He's irrational. So you're not going to be able to like convince him that he needs help. That's the answer to that is that you can't. You know, he at best you might be able to get him to go to couples castle with you if you say, you know what, babe, you're right. I have a problem. I should have been siding with you about Kanye, and I just want to go to somebody and talk to somebody about our problem. He probably would go with you then because it ain't him, it's you. That's ridiculous.
But
He's stealing money and shit now. And like he done bowled up at you finna like box you out about goddamn Kanye. You're talking about how can you help him? Girl, if you don't get that nigga out your house.
how can you help your damn self?
Yeah, exactly. What you talking about? You bow up at me over over a nigga neither one of us know, over a nigga who don't know you exist, over a nigga that you didn't allow to influence you to the point where you stealing from me? Nigga, bye. And the trip was for me to go see my fucking parents. This wasn't even just a vacation that y'all were going on. You're going to see your family, and now you might not even be able to go see them niggas because this nigga want to buy a $200 stem player. You're sick. You're sick. You need to get out. Get out of that. Run. Run fast.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Some of us got to do a better assessment of what to do with people when they start to fuck up or they change or they become different than we used to them being. Like, was he always a Kanye fan and the shit just took off at some point? She said he used to be sweet at the beginning.
They've been together for 7 years. So I'm wondering what was the change.
You know, that's a worry for me in relationships. A worry for me is that a person experienced something that changed them from the person that I met. Yeah. And in marriage, the social contract forces you to either stay with that person through all that shit or to feel bad that you done left them because of some shit that happened that they changed.
That's if you buy into that social contract. Because I'm not. There are things that I will stay and work through. I'm not gonna say that as soon as shit turn bad, I'm gonna leave the situation because I'm not. But there are things. If you start getting like physically violent, I'm not working through that. Fuck, better or for worse. I'm not getting my ass whooped trying to work through. And then you gonna whoop my ass over Kanye? No, nope. No. Not willing to work through that. I'm not willing to work through, and there are mental health conditions that people can get that they aren't aware that they have, where they don't feel like there's nothing wrong. You can't, and how do you convince someone who in their reality and in their mind everything is fine? It's you and everybody else. How do you convince that person that this is problematic? For them to change. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's one thing if it's workable, but there are situations and circumstances where people don't even realize that they are ill, and you're not going to be able to convince them of that. There are like narcissistic personality disorder, like those kind of people don't go ever on their own to get therapy. It is usually some outside force, right? They got in trouble with the law and are being forced to do it. They're going in like a couple's fashion because they feel like it's the other person, and they basically just want the therapist to tell the other person how they fucking up. Like, it's never where it's like, I need help and there's something wrong with me and I need to go talk to somebody. That doesn't happen. Because in their mind and in their world, it's not them. It's you. And so do you stay in that forever now?
I think that we go back to people putting quantity over quality. We've been together for 7 years. I'll be damned if I let this shit die right here with this Kanye loving ass motherfucker. I ain't letting it die. And people be on that shit, and I be like, listen, man. It's like if you see a black ass rose on the ground withered up there, it's like, I'm gonna bring this bitch back to life. Like, even if you do bring it back to life, you done some Dr. Frankenstein shit. You done created a monster that's gonna go kill a little white girl and throw her in the river. Well, he didn't kill her and throw her in the river. He just threw her in the river and she likely drowned.
Yeah, not gonna be the same.
Like you can't revive some shit that is dead.
Yeah.
And you just have to accept, like, to me, I would say that in both of your letters, my relationship is now on life support. And it's up to me whether to pull the plug or let that shit breathe. I'm pulling the plug in both of
Pulling
them
the
motherfuckers.
plug.
Like if Beyonce started going Kanye crazy and my partner liked Beyonce and started getting on that shit, I'd be like, we got this is it. You can be in a relationship with me or Beyonce. It's one or the other. It is never both.
No.
And they probably choose Beyonce.
And I think I do
You
recognize that you and I are in positions where we are going to look at these situations differently because of what we do and because of the experience that we've had in working with people with issues. But I tell folks all the time, like, it's certain shit. If somebody does not believe that there is a problem, you are not going to convince them of that. I can't even, if somebody came into therapy and I've had this happen. People come in because other people have told them you need to go to therapy. My first question is, do you believe there's a problem? Do you feel like you need this? I can't operate and help you based off of how other people's opinions of your behavior. Because if you don't see it as problematic, this is a waste of both of our time because you're not gonna make any changes. You're not.
I can
Why would
imagine
you?
how they arguments going. She'd be like, it's either me or Kanye. And he's like, bitch, you didn't make 808s and heartbreaks. You ain't got bars. Mayonnaise colored beans, I push miracle whips. You can't bring up no shit like that. You can't spit. Flashing lights. Power. Did you see that video? You ain't got no fucking creative skills. Bitch, get out of my face. Kanye. You didn't understand from that response. I choose Kanye. Leave. When somebody is that far gone, that's where they at.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
And it tells something about your personality to be asking the question, what can I do to keep my boyfriend from being mad at me? I'll tell you exactly what you can do to keep your boyfriend from being mad at you. Go buy you a great Make America Great Again hat. Go listen to Kanye's entire catalog. Look at all his behaviors, watch his YouTube videos and all that shit, and accept it as okay. Start talking shit about Kim Kardashian the same way he do.
Yeah.
Support Kanye's narcissistic abuse. Support his inability to go talk to counselors and his rejecting therapy. That's how you keep your boyfriend from being mad at you.
Yep.
If you ain't willing to do that shit, then fuck him. Go find you a new life.
Pretty much.
That shit is dead.
Yep. DOA. It's over with. All right, I'm only gonna do one more, and I'll do the creepy dad's friend, because well, let's see. Let me tell you something. We took a break, and so we haven't been on Reddit, and people are writing like thesis level issues, like trying to find like smaller things has been very difficult. They're all like thesis. Actually, you know what? The brother one might be shorter. You want creepy dad or the brother?
Who is the creepy dad relative to? Do you know?
Well, it's not. It's the dad's friend. It's a 15-year-old girl whose dad's friend is making her uncomfortable.
Not that one.
Okay. So then we're gonna go with. So her brother's 40, she's 35. She said, brother traumatized me, but other people keep pressuring me to keep the relationship.
Oh, motherfucking shit. Okay, go ahead.
Hello. Warning, this may be a bit long, but it actually isn't. It's not as long as the other one. When I was young, 5 or 7, I experienced some sexual abuse from my mother and my brother. It confused me for years. I didn't believe it was trauma until a few years ago when I spoke with a therapist. Good for you for reaching out. The thing is, my brother has always held some weird power over me. Some examples are he tells me my nails look terrible. He makes fun of my hair. He constantly put down my opinions as a kid. He's always been a dick. 2 years ago, I had an ex who was threatening to kill me and stalking me. I reached out to my big bro for help and he completely dismissed me. Since then, I have thrown myself into therapy. I did a lot of trauma work that eventually had me confront what happened. My bro and I barely spoke for 2 years. I wouldn't see him and would barely answer his messages. Our relationship is better. We talk occasionally in text. However, when it comes to meeting him alone, I suffer from anxiety attacks and have decided to keep better boundaries and to stick to group meetings. People around me tell me he's your brother and you need to have him in your life, or family is everything, or you'll become close again. I feel this completely erases the validity of my trauma and makes me second guess myself. I've basically done everything myself, bought a house, paid for school, developed my own career with very little support from him. How can I proceed? I feel guilty about my boundaries, but I feel safe and happy. Girl, stop listening. Stop listening to these fuck ass people. One of my biggest mantras in life, and this is born from my own trauma with my family, as evidenced by the beginning of this podcast where I was saying trying to find ways to kill my dad. Family is as family does.
I want to correct something.
Okay.
Finding ways to help your father experience near death so that he can boost into a different perspective of life that may make him a better person.
Thank you
Continue.
for the correction. Family is as family does. You do not get an automatic pass with me because you blood related to me. If you acting like a dick, I'm gonna treat you like anybody else that treats me or behaves like a dick towards me. You don't get a pass because we got some similar DNA running through our goddamn veins. That is the stupidest shit I have ever heard in my life. You don't get a break. You don't get a pass. If you're being a dick, I'm gonna treat you just like any other nigga that's a dick. And you're not gonna like it. Okay? Like, I hate when people be pressing people about, well, that's your mom. You know, you need to have. No, I don't, because she ain't acting like a mom. Fuck out of here. Is you sick?
You know, we have a strong air of family entitlement in our society. People feel like they are entitled to you and your energy just based on the fact that two people that you know fucked each other. That is not enough. That is not enough. If there was some kind of ritual or some kind of process that you had to go through that was intentional about bringing about a life, then that would be different. But two people literally, like, I wonder if a parent if a child as their parent, was I about here on purpose? If every parent answered that question, I feel like a higher rate would be unintentional births than not. And so to have gotten me here likely by accident and to tell me that I owe you some shit for your mistake and your irresponsibility and your lack of desire, not saying that you didn't make sugar out of shit from that mistake, if that child is having a good life, but you're not finna sit here and act like how you got me here is supposed to reward you something. It's not. I'll be in there like, so y'all think blood is important? Yeah, blood is everything. I want to see it. I want to see the blood. Come on. Put your dukes up, Unc. I'm going to value this blood. I want it on my fingers. I bet them motherfuckers will put your ass out the house then. This nigga got to go. He got mental health issues. You know, if you act crazy in the black community, then they'll put you in the back room and never ask you to do shit. Yep.
I mean, when she said it, she feels like it's invalidating. It is, because what you saying to her when you do that is, yeah, I know he sexually assaulted you, and yeah, I know he's been abusive to you, but he your brother. like none of that other shit matters in the context of my relationship with him. She having anxiety attacks and shit when she around this nigga. So you telling me for the whole rest of her life she's supposed to put herself through this simply because this nigga happened to have the same goddamn parents as her? We don't pick that shit. You don't pick your family. And some people get some real lemon ass families, okay? Some people roll the dice and it is just snake eyes all day. Snake eyes is bad, ain't it? The snake eyes bad?
It depends on the game you're playing, but yes, generally. when the term snake eyes is used, you just fucked up.
Okay. It's just all bad, okay? Some people do not win the genetic lottery as it pertains to the family they born into. You do not get to tell them that despite that, you just gotta tough it out. Fuck you. No, I don't. No, and I say that as somebody that it took me a long time to get to that place because the world does put a lot of pressure on you and say, oh, that's your family. I ain't supposed to do a goddamn thing. Okay. I treat family the same way that I treat everybody else. I'm going to treat you in the way that you deserve to be treated. And you're going to show me how that is by the way that you treat me. Okay. And so I don't feel like you have to go out of your way for somebody that is not even just treating her bad, but causing her actual mental harm. You really want to force, like, girl, if you don't just cut that nigga off and live your best life.
And I guess another variable is, do the people outside of her who are making these suggestions know about what the experience between her and her brother was? Not saying that should give them a pass, because if you clearly tell them what your boundaries are and they step over your boundaries, then that's a problem. But people reaching out to you saying, hey, why don't you talk to your brother, not knowing the reason that you don't talk to him, means that, I think there is some how you interpret your family's role in trying to get you and your brother to connect. I think you can assess it on a different measure. But at the end of the day, if you don't want it, if you don't need it, if it overrides your boundaries, and if it makes you uncomfortable, do that shit for you. Don't worry about nobody else in that situation, especially when it comes to sexual. And it's like, a part of me is like, so if the mother and the brother abused her, that means that the mother probably definitely abused the son, and the son probably started abusing his sister because of what was happening to him from the mother.
And mom may have even been orchestrating. Some parents will set their shit up so they can watch. So she might have even been present during, because she said she was abused by both her mom and her brother. So I feel like mom might have even been present during.
So, and that being said, like when I'm working with clients who, it's really hard to work with people when you know that the people that's perpetuating the trauma still had their own set of trauma that do it. But the thing that how I limit it is, the person who is transferring the least pain is the person that gets most of my energy.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
Like,
which would be her in this case.
Exactly. In a system where a woman had abuse put on her and she's not transferring that pain, and a brother had abuse put on him and he's transferring that pain, and a mother is transferring that pain to two different people, my energy is going to go to the person who is not transferring that pain, because we need to try to figure out how to make sure they never transfer that pain.
Yep.
And then the other people can get the rest of the energy that I have left. But it's about who I'm talking to and the energy that's been transferred in. It go back to that R. Kelly conversation. It's like, I understand that R. Kelly was sexually abused by his 15-year-old cousin at the time when he was young, and that kind of like sent him down that path. But you lose the amount of empathy I can have for how you became when you start transferring that pain that you experienced to other people, instead of getting help to recover from that pain that you experienced.
Yep. And I hate that people perpetuate that and tell folks that, because she already is suffering. She's already questioning it on her own, and then for people to come up and like throw in another wrench and say, well, he's your brother, and you, because the fact of the matter is, I wish that it was only people who might not be aware of the trauma that would be still encouraging. But there are people who could be fully aware of the abuse that this person put on this other person, and still be like, well, they still your brother at the end of the day. What?
They love doing that shit with fathers. But that's your daddy. But that's your mama. Okay. Yep. She shouldn't have beat me bloody goddamn then. Like, exactly. If people want to stay in your life, they have to do what it takes to stay in your life.
Yep.
It's not up to me to accept the bullshit that they do for them to stay in my life. Because why do I want them to stay in my life at that point?
Exactly.
And why do you want me to want them to stay in their life? It's like you're projecting your relationship or desired relationship with your parent onto me for whatever reason. And I don't agree with that. I don't accept it. Fuck you.
Pretty much. But yeah, those are the only ones that I'm gonna do.
All right.
Had a weird one.
We're gonna do my Reddit letter, and then we're gonna get into some quick news because I don't have that much. I don't think Red had that much.
I don't.
But this is our first day back in a long time, so we're gonna get this shit together. We'll have a new intro soon too. Let's see. I got to find this mofo.
I thought you.
Am I the asshole for dropping out of my friend's wedding and refusing to attend it unless she changes the venue? What's your first impression?
Change the venue?
Yeah.
That is that's a little nitpicky. I'm leaning more towards you are the asshole just based off of that, because how you gonna tell somebody to change the venue for their wedding? Is that your wedding? Like what? My question is, what is your problem with the venue? It better be some major shit. It better be I was raped at this place and you chose this. Like, it better be some like horrific, terrible shit for you to want somebody to change the goddamn venue at the wedding.
Let's read the letter. My best friend recently got engaged and asked me to be her maid of honor. I, of course, said yes, and I was really excited to be involved in the planning process. Fast forward to a couple of months later, and my friend tells me she plans on having a plantation wedding. No. At first, I thought this was a joke. My friend is pretty politically aware, so I assumed she was joking. Turns out she isn't. Her fiance's family has a tradition of having a wedding at that specific venue, which is strange to me. As a black woman, I told her I won't be attending the wedding or participating in it any longer if she plans on having a plantation wedding. She can do what she wants, but a place like that is not for me. She's now angry at me, calling me selfish and saying I'm ruining her dream day, etc. Some of our mutual friends have told me that I'm overreacting and it's not a big deal since bad things happen everywhere, so now I'm confused. Am I the asshole for refusing to attend my friend's plantation wedding?
Bad things happen everywhere is the all lives matter of this situation. Okay, so yeah, I would not attend a plantation wedding. It's fucking
you see that
weird.
switch though, how the title make it seem like
yes.
Make it hard to be like, why would it? But shit,
I would not go to a plantation wedding. And if you're as political, you say that your friend's politically aware, or she seemed like she was. If she truly was, she would understand why that would be problematic. Okay. And the title, my issue with the title is it made it seem like she was giving her an ultimatum. I wouldn't even gave her no ultimatum, because the fact of the matter is, if this is a family tradition, she's going to be very unlikely to change this shit based off of this one person. Okay. I wouldn't even presented it as that. I would have just been like, hey, I know you asked me and I said yes. I'm not going to be able to do it. I'm not going to be able to be on the plantation. Like, I'm not even going to tell you need to change it, because I know you ain't going to change that shit just for me. Okay. I ain't going to ask you to change it just for me, but just know I'm not going to be there. I'm not walking the grounds of a goddamn plantation. That's weird. That's weird. That's like asking. This is the equivalent in my mind whenever I hear some shit like this and people are like, bad things happen everywhere. That's like asking a Jewish person, like, you're gonna have your wedding at one of the fucking concentration camp sightings and wanting your Jew, like, it's not a no. Don't ask people to do that. Like, you should be able to be respectful of why somebody wouldn't want to be present in a place where some bad fucking shit happened. Plantations were not good places for black people back in the day. Okay. I live in the South. There are a lot of like plantation bait, like looking houses. I don't even like going in places where them shits are at. Okay. It's an eerie fucking feeling. It is undescribable. And I feel like as white people will never know what that's like, because there's not an equivalent for them. So they don't get it. And like I said, somebody saying bad things happen everywhere is like all lives matter to me. That's all I heard when you said that part. Bad things happen. Fuck you, okay? Bad things happen everywhere. Slavery didn't know. Plantations are synonymous with that shit, and I don't want to be there. Sorry. I'm not telling you that you shouldn't. I'm just telling you where I'm not going to be. you go right on ahead. It's your family tradition. And even the fact that it's your family tradition, it make me like, so your family had slaves, huh?
Bruh.
Like,
I mean, it might not be a plantation. I mean, it just might be a plantation.
but if it's a family tradition and everybody's had, like, I feel like at some point somebody had a plantation, and that's how it started. The tradition started because your great grandparents got married on their plantation, and from that moment forth, everybody just got married on plantations.
You know, this is just a moment that highlights privilege because white people get the luxury of looking at a plantation for its old school architectural, you know, whatever aesthetic that they like from that. And black people can't. Like, if I went to that wedding, I wouldn't even be in the right mind.
No.
Any tree that I walked on, I'd be like, I wonder if they hung niggas under that tree. Any little shed that, you know, the shed that the slaves probably stayed in. I wonder if the master was raping women back in them sheds. You know, I'll be walking around the plantation. I wonder what, you know, I wonder where they used to hide to read. You know what I'm saying? It's so many. Like, my mind wouldn't even be in the right place. You know, white people get to be like, wow, these vaulted ceilings are amazing. Wow, look at these old school pillars. Look at that outhouse. That is really a traditional look at how they used to build homes. Look, kids, look how they used to build homes. This that CRT shit. Like, they just want to pretend like none of that shit had a bad impact on somebody. Like, they don't know what the word plantation means or something. But that's the luxury of white people. White people get to look at whiteness in the context of their individual existence, and we have to look at blackness in the context of our group existence. And I can be there and be thinking about what the people that are connected to my group went through at that time. White people had the luxury not to.
And again, like I said, it's because you don't have the connection that I have. Like I said, I wouldn't even pose it as I'm not going to be in it unless you change, because I know you're not going to. I'm just letting you know I'm not going to be there. I'm not going to walk the grounds of this fucking plantation and be uncomfortable because you want to get married here. Like, I'm present. Obviously, I'm a good enough friend that you wanted me to be your maid of honor. Like, we cool enough for that. And we going to continue to be cool, but I'm going to bow out of this one. And if you're truly my friend, you're going to understand that you wouldn't want me to be uncomfortable. Like, just whoever your second choice was, pick that bitch. Hopefully she's white and she ain't going to care. She be just hopping around the plantation too. My boyfriend had me watch. I'm trying to say that word more so that I get desensitized. I still feel it every time I say it.
I'm proud of you.
So, my boyfriend had me watch this movie called Karen. I don't know if you've seen it. Karen. It's awful. It's fucking terrible. Was
he having you watch it because it was terrible?
Yes. He knew it was terrible because the way he phrased it when he was like, hey, I want us to watch Karen together. And I was like, what is it about? He wouldn't tell me. And I was like, this some fuck shit. You
had to know what Karen was going to be about.
Well, I didn't want us to.
If you would have assumed, would you have been correct?
I would have been dead on.
Okay.
It is a movie about a white lady who is the worst Karen you can ever think of. Her name actually happens to be Karen. But I bring the movie up because this movie is like, Tyler Perry didn't make it, but it's that kind of a movie where there's so many plot holes and things that don't make sense that you like, what? So one of the things, so basically what it is, it's a black couple who moved to a white neighborhood. Karen does not like having this black couple in her neighborhood. And so she makes things very difficult and it progressively gets like violent. But anyway, the name of the place that they moved to had plantation in the name. Okay. Mm-hmm. From jump, as soon as we sat down to the movie started and they were moving in and they were talking about the fact that plantation was in the name. I was like, I don't care how much money I come in. I'm not moving somewhere with plantation in the name. That already make me feel like I'm not goddamn welcome. I'm sorry. I'm not going to move in a apartment. Not an apartment. It was a what are they called? Subdivision. I'm not gonna move in no subdivision with plantation in the name. Of course, they don't want my black ass there. But the movie don't make sense for so many reasons, and the way that it ends is the dumbest shit I ever seen. So I was very angry at him. And as it progressed, I kept telling him, like, you a fuck nigga for this. Like you knew. I'm like, he's like, no, it gets better. It doesn't. It doesn't get better. It ends in the most ridiculous, unrealistic. I'm gonna ruin it because I don't want y'all to go watch it. Don't go watch it. So part of the unrealistic thing is that at the end, all of these things happen and they get the people to change the name of the complex. They changed the name. I keep saying complex, the subdivision. They changed the name of this subdivision to John Lewis. That's not realistic. Even if the white people were going to be willing to make some changes because of all of the fuck shit that happened there, they are not going to go from a name with plantation in it to naming a subdivision John Lewis. Get the fuck out of here. It's so bad. It's the worst movie I probably have seen in a very long time. But I brought it up because it had plantation in the name. And I just don't feel comfortable nowhere where there's an actual plantations in the name. None of that sounds welcoming to my black ass. It just don't. I'm sorry. I don't want to be there.
I feel like if I went to a plantation wedding, the spirits of the ancestors will show up and make themselves visible and just be staring at me, shaking their heads the whole damn time. And I'm just sitting there like, God damn.
Feeling like an asshole.
Feel like an asshole.
No, not something that I would be able to do. So no, I don't think she's an asshole. I think that she did what was best for her. And like I said, the only thing is I wouldn't have made it like it was an ultimatum because again, you know, she's not gonna change her wedding. If this is this a tradition for her family, she's not finna change that. And it ain't even about that. It's about what I'm not gonna do. Okay, that's what this is about. What I'm not gonna do, and what I'm not gonna do is go to your plantation wedding. Like I said, we still cool. This what you want to do. I get it, you know, whatever. But like it's not gonna happen. So whoever your number 2 was, call her up. Okay, tell her she's now your maid of honor. And just keep it moving like that. And if we can't be friends no more because of this, if you really truly can't understand why this would be uncomfortable for me, then we probably don't need to be friends anyway because you don't understand my existence. And you say you do, but like I feel like this is pretty simple, right? Like I feel like this ain't hard. This is not a hard to understand situation. Why a black person wouldn't want to be on a plantation. I feel like that's pretty, straightforward.
Pretty standard.
Like this isn't some nuanced like piece of history that don't y'all know. If you didn't know, I got a dog. He used to be quiet, but he heard some shit. I don't know what that was. But don't know what his problem is. He heard something. He running up the stairs now. But yeah, that's not a nuanced issue. Right, that is the most straightforward black person not want to be on a plantation. That should just be a checkbox. Like, okay, got it. Like that should just make sense. So,
yeah. All right, that's all I got for the letters.
All right,
Credit letters. Let's get to some newsy news.
Okay,
Which one to start with?
Let's just get Kanye out the way because I feel like unless you've been under a rock, you've been seeing this like media blitz that he's gone on where what is Pete last name?
Davidson.
Pete Davidson. So Kanye West, Kim Kardashian were married. They're still married. They're in the process of getting a divorce. Kanye went on this like meltdown, posting on social media every 2 fucking seconds about just bullshit, like how terrible Pete is. Anybody associated with Pete, he got into it with Kid Cudi. Just all of this fuck shit because he is upset that Kim is leaving him. Now, some people were like, well, that man just want his family back. And, it's so problematic. And I don't fuck with the Kardashians. Again, if you listen to our show before, I don't like them bitches. I feel like they problematic. They are culture vultures, all of those things. Like, but even with me feeling that way, nobody deserves to have to deal with what Kanye is doing to her now. And it's all fun and games until the nigga become unhinged and go do some fuck shit. He live across the street. Okay. And him moving across the street in the context of like co-parenting wasn't on its own problematic. But given all of this shit, I can't imagine living next door to this nigga, what that would be like. The kind of like fuckery that we don't even see that she having to deal with because this nigga's unhinged. And for anybody that's saying he want his family back, this ain't the fucking way you do that shit, bro. You don't get your family back by antagonizing your wife. And I don't even know why he give a fuck about her fucking with Pete Davidson, because he was fucking with this Julia Fox bitch. He got his pictures online of him with his tongue down her throat. So why you care? Why are you pressed about this? Okay? This is not okay. This is problematic behavior. This is harassment. And anybody who don't see it is you problematic too. I feel like this some shit you think would be okay for you to do in your own life. And like I said, even with me not liking that bitch, I don't think she deserves this. Nobody does. And his behavior is concerning because he a short meltdown away from just going over there blasting the house up. I wouldn't be surprised if the next headline was that Kanye West went over there with an AK and shot her shit up. I would be like, oh, that's on brand. That's on brand for what's been going on. Stop feeding into that shit just because y'all on this Kanye is a genius shit and just feel like that nigga should be able to get away. And him being a genius is debatable for me, honestly. But however, y'all like give that nigga leeway to do whatever the fuck he want to do and want to put. Oh, he's so smart. No. He problematic. And y'all problematic for not seeing that shit. That shit irked my nerve. I hate that. Like, y'all can't just keep giving him passes because he Kanye.
In the worst case scenario, this is narcissistic abuse. In the worst case scenario, because he's doing a combination of trying to ostracize everybody around her, trying to get everybody to feel like he's the victim and that she's the problem, and love bombing by doing shit like sending her a truck full of roses. Like, none of this shit sound creepy to you. Like, if a girl you broke up with was doing this shit to you, man, how would you feel? And women, if a dude you broke up was doing this shit to you, how would you feel? Nobody should say, I would be flattered. I would be utterly flattered. He is trying to get me back, and I ain't ready to have him back. But, man, the fact that he's trying so damn hard. But then you counter that good, perceptually good shit with the fact that he posting all your text messages, besmirch you, trying to make it seem like you're a mother that's trying to keep her kids away from the father. Why would she want to give you the time of day?
Exactly. Did you see them at the Super Bowl? Them kids don't even look happy when they with him. And I don't think that he's being abusive or anything, but he's so in this narcissistic fog that he is in that I don't even know how good of a father he could be being to them. And not being a good father don't always mean being I don't think he abusing them and no shit like that. But them kids just look like they there because they don't get fined. That's what they face look like when they with Kanye. Like, we gotta be here, so we here. We don't really want to be, but this is what we contractually we have. That's what they look like when they with him. That's a problem. Like, that's problematic. Like, and this is another situation, like, just like I said about the plantation being like one of those things where it's like, duh, black persons don't want to be on the plantation. That shouldn't be hard to figure out. This should not be hard to figure out why this is problematic and not cute. Okay, why this is not something that people should be like, well, no, it ain't no well. He needs to sit the fuck down and be held accountable for this shit. Like, it's not okay. It's not cute. It's not okay. And again, I wouldn't be surprised, if he did some wild shit in a moment. Because all it takes is a moment. It take a moment of insanity to do something weird, and then like after that be like, oh my God, what did I do?
Like, the most recent thing he put on Instagram is a list of Kanye beefs. And on the caption he said, come on guys, this list is twice as long. You got to put Apple, Spotify, Vivendi, Universal, Lucian, Grange, TikTok, Black History Month, Obama, the whole cast of SNL, Hillary Clinton, the devil himself, Corey, Gamble, Bezos, Charlemagne, Disney liberals, and of course Skeet, and all corny shit in general.
which is what he's calling Pete Davidson. And he's calling him.
Yeah. Which is the dumbest shit ever.
When Jay-Z, when Kanye really started kind of like tipping on the side of crazy, like real tipping hard to that side, and Jay-Z kind of pulled out and was like, nah, people talk so much shit about that. Like he was such a bad person. But look at this. I get it. I would have did exactly what Jay-Z did. I would not want, I don't want to be connected to this shit because this is not what my brand is. And I don't want it to be connected to this bullshit you got going on. And he didn't want his family involved in it. Could you imagine if them kids was friends and they were having to go over there and deal with Kanye living across the street being crazy? I wouldn't want it. I don't want no parts of that. No parts. And I get it. Again, I don't understand. People feel like there are no deal breakers. There are deal breakers in friendships. If somebody becomes irrational and you can't talk to them and they're going to do what they want to do, there ain't nothing you're going to be able to do to break through that. So I'm just going to pull out. I'm not going to be a part of it. And so I get it because like all this is done is progressively gotten to a point where we've just watched him threads just slowly unraveling just over time. And I'm sick of it, honestly. I'm sick of seeing it. I'm tired of people reporting on every little tweet he made. I don't give a fuck at this point. Like, I want out of the group chat. I saw somebody say that, and I was like, that's exactly how I feel. I want to mute the group chat. It's too much. It's too much going on. I don't want to be a part of this anymore. But please stop talking like this is just a man desperate to get his family back. This is not how you go about that. And y'all need to be sane enough, I guess, to be able to say that. Like, stop giving him passes because he fucking Kanye. Who cares? He's not. This ain't cool. It's not cool. It's problematic. And as long as y'all keep doing shit, there is no way I would buy a $200 fucking device to be able to listen to a Kanye West album. Like, y'all are nuts. Y'all are nuts. I thought y'all were nuts when y'all were buying his ugly ass clothes. And look, I know some of y'all listening might be like, oh, you just say that because you can't afford it. I could be a billionaire tomorrow. You would never see me walking around in none of that shit. You feel me? Homeless chic. I still feel like that would be the best way to describe his clothing line. And I don't care how much money I had. I would not be walking around in them space shoes and all of that little plastic. The little slides that he had, some of y'all ain't never seen no prison shit. I'm convinced because them slides just look like them prison shower shoes that prisoners walk around in all the goddamn time. And y'all sitting up here paying $500 for some prison slides. Like, I don't understand it. I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me. I'll be damned if I'm gonna buy a streaming device simply to listen to a Kanye West album. Like, do we even know anything else about the STEM player other than his album is going to be on there? Like, what other stuff can you do with it? For $200, it better be significant.
I think that's it. Maybe.
That's bullshit.
But even so, $200. Come on, man.
Niggas gonna do it though. Niggas gonna let their power bill go behind. They gonna let their phone bill and shit get behind buying this shit so they can listen to Donda 2. It's so insane to me. Like, y'all niggas is crazy. Okay. I don't get it. I mean, I ain't a Kanye fan, but I don't care I don't even know who I'm the biggest fan of because I don't really fangirl over shit like that. But like, whoever that person would be, they wouldn't get $200 out of me to buy no fucking streaming device to play an album from them. I don't even give a fuck who it was. No, I'm not doing that. Is you sick? I got $200 for that. And if I had $200 of disposable income, I wouldn't spend it that fucking way. I don't understand, but that's all. Y'all gotta stop. Y'all doing too much. Y'all really gotta stop acting like Kanye ain't batshit crazy for this. Like, y'all gotta stop. It's ridiculous.
Very much so ridiculous. I don't have that many news stories. So you can keep moving.
Okay. Well, let's see. What else did I have? I had Kanye. Tinder swindler. Let's talk about that. Tinder swindler is a situation that would only happen to people if we were still living by the survival of the fittest and we were just letting people die that needed to die or that would just be dumb enough to do stupid shit and just die. You know, we didn't have these labels that tell people not to drink bleach. You know, the motherfuckers that would just drink bleach would just be drinking the bleach. Tinder swindler people fall into that category to me because there is no way. Like his scam wasn't even a good one. His scam didn't even make sense. At least the people who was doing that, I'm a African prince and my money tied up, they were at least doing that towards like older people who weren't tech savvy and didn't know, and so they were sending their life savings to this nigga because they really thought they was gonna get a return because they older and didn't know. Y'all are young. There's no way that you should have failed for this shit. Like, this is the stupidest shit ever. Like, my God. Can you even really call it a scam? I feel like it's less a scam and just mostly people being dumbasses. Like, I don't get it.
So what was the scam? I hadn't seen a Tinder swindler.
So he basically was telling people it's the same kind of like that, you know, the African story, the African prince story where the money he couldn't get in touch with his father or he got cut out, and so he needed you to send him this large amount of money in order for him to get access to the money he has, and he gonna give you your money back, and y'all gonna be together forever. If you're a prince, you don't need no money from him. Like, you got it.
Did he go to jail?
No, I don't think he did. I didn't watch because I just.
Is it a docu-series?
I think it's just one movie.
Oh.
I think it's just a movie. It's not like it's on Netflix. I hate these things that be like, register to keep reading. Fuck you. Why don't I do that when I can read it for free somewhere else?
Incognito window, and you usually can read it.
Okay, so he would match with a woman on Tinder, take her on a costly and impressive first date, and then slowly build their relationship while flying around the world and secretly dating other women. His accuser claims that at a certain point, he would confide in them and say that he was worried that a group of his enemies was just around the corner. Eventually, he would send a photo of his bleeding bodyguard allegedly injured by these enemies to incite further concern. Once that groundwork had been laid, he would urgently message each girlfriend to say that his credit card cannot be used for security reasons and so that she opened a new one under her name for him to use. From there, he was off to the races, and he stole about $10 million total from these bitches.
That's unfortunate. Sometimes you gotta learn the expensive lesson for the lesson not to have to be learned again.
Like,
is he the I don't know, is he the villain or the good guy?
What you mean?
Is he like, he don't have to be a good guy. He could be the anti-hero or mercenary. Like, he don't have to be a bad guy. Like, he played to the naivety of people. He clearly ain't shit human. But in the context of capitalism, nah, because he ain't working for nobody.
No, he not working. He ain't doing no work.
But he won't commit no crimes.
He committed fraud by having them to open up the credit card for him to use.
That ain't fraud if they put his name on it.
They opened up credit cards in their name for him to use, not in his name.
You can use my card if I open it and I give you permission to use it. They gave him permission to use the card. That's not illegal.
They gave him. That's like you asked me to use my credit card to pay your rent. And my rent behind, I'm gonna get your credit card. I'm gonna pay my rent with it. And then you use my credit card to go on all expense paid trip around the world and use way more money. That's not what we agreed upon for you to use the card for. You can't just get it and use it for what you want to use it for. And then much more than what you said you needed to use it. Like you just then maxed out this shit doing basically funding his other bitches. Because if his scam was, I'm gonna show you a good time at first to set you up to believe that I got it like that, he just using his ill-gotten gains from the past girls to woo the new girls as an investment to because he know he finna get some more money on the back end of it. But like, let me tell you something. If I'm dating somebody and they tell me, send me a picture that they bodyguard then got beat up and all this shit, motherfucker, call the police. What you contacted me for? What
Yeah, you're right.
the fuck you think I'm gonna do? I'm not saying, I'm not getting involved, okay? Like, I'm not, they ain't finna come after me behind you. You sick. That would never have worked on me at all. Like, first of all, I would have been side-eyeing him spending all this money in the beginning. I always, like, I just pay attention to things. And so that already would have made me be like, why is he doing this a lot? And then when he started, my enemies, your enemies, you in the mob or some shit? What you mean your enemies? Who got enemies? Like, I just feel like even with me seeing that he put in a little bit more work, I still feel like this is not something that all the $10 million worth. Y'all fucking fell for this for real? Like, nah. No. I don't get it. I don't get it. There's no way.
You're not that level of naive, Red.
I am totally the fuck not. No. Atlanta is gonna do one more season and they're gonna end it.
I expected that. I expected Childish Gambino to quit at some point. He always do that shit.
Well, he said he never really envisioned it going for 4 seasons. Like, that wasn't when he came up with the concept or whatever. That's not, it was to tell a very specific story. And so he didn't plan for it to go for 4 seasons.
Gotcha.
So,
but he stayed quitting and doing something new.
Yeah. And then the show Harlem got renewed for a 2nd season. That is the show that Megan Good is in. I'm not a fan. I didn't finish it. I watched maybe the first 2 episodes. It's very much giving wannabe Insecure, but not done as well. I didn't like Insecure. I finally watched Insecure. And again, if you've never listened to the show, I don't watch things when they're popular. I don't like it. I am not a community watcher. What I mean by that is, like, everybody, like, the new episode come out, everybody watch it, and then they have all these think pieces and everybody talk about it until I don't like that shit. Okay. So I didn't watch Insecure until the very last episode aired, and then I binge watched the entire thing. So I didn't have to wait cliffhanger season to season. I literally just went right into the next episode. So I finally watched it. I loved it. AC Blow, who we've had on the show before, was somebody that told me that you gotta watch it because, like, Issa reminds me of you, that character. And after watching it, I'm like, I get it, but I also am a little offended. My life ain't never been quite that fucked up, and my dating life has been much more boring. She had all this shit going on. Like, I never had any of that, but I thoroughly enjoyed Insecure. I didn't like Harlem at all. Gotcha. So I saw it was being renewed, and I was like, enough niggas like that it's getting renewed. Okay, I guess good for them. It's on I think it's on Amazon. It's an Amazon show. But Megan Good's in it. I jokingly said, because she do a lot of fucking and stuff in there. I jokingly said this is why her and her husband got the divorce, because she got back into acting, and, like, this was because she hasn't really done a whole lot since they've been married, and then this that we see her in is just very sexually charged. And he's a pastor, so I don't know if that actually had anything to do with it, but I was like, that it might be what it was.
Yeah.
Not a good look for a pastor. Not in the
Zero good
traditional
look. Zero
sense.
good look.
And they're gonna make a documentary about Miss Cleo. Call me now.
Yeah, she bought the Friends Network a lot of money, like
Yeah.
into the billions.
If y'all are too young to know, because this was in the 90s, Miss Cleo was supposedly a psychic. There was something called the Psychic Friends Network where you could call in and they would tell you about your future, and it was mad expensive. It was like $1.99 a minute or some shit. And keep in mind, this is the 90s, so that I don't even know what that would be today, but it was a lot of money. And I could imagine that part of their job when you called in was to keep you on the phone as long as possible. So I'm sure them was some long ass calls, 60 minutes at least,
Oh yeah.
at $1.99 a pop. But her commercials were everywhere. So like, if you watched TV in the 90s, you saw this fucking commercial.
Yeah.
It's on all the time. So it'll be interesting to see. I just want to know how much money they scam people out of, because I know it was like millions of dollars. People are silly.
Yeah.
And they'll call in for that shit.
I'm gonna ask some news.
Okay.
Ava DuVernay's company ends that Spotify deal that they had.
Is it because of what's that guy name?
Yep.
The podcaster.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I can't
It
think of his
is
name.
Joe Rogan.
Yes.
Hey, Rogan. Joe Rogan. I mean, I knew his name was Rogan. I just said Roga because I was trying to say something clever, but I couldn't think of nothing. But it is crazy. Well, the most significant thing I watched on the Joe Rogan thing was the interview between Trevor Noah and India Arie. Have you seen that?
I haven't seen the interview between the two of them, but I've seen both of them talk about him individually. Like, she posted a video of a compilation of him saying nigger. I'm sorry, nigger.
After that video, I really respect India Arie. I mean, she don't talk much. She hadn't really done a lot of talking, especially on like personal opinion and views and stuff. But like, it was a really good talk. Like, I would suggest anybody go watch that shit because they had a really introspective conversation about people being labeled as racist and people who are not racist saying racist things, and the point at which somebody should be able to recover from something that they do that is problematic.
Mm-hmm.
It was a really good conversation that they had. But India Arie earlier was saying that she don't believe Joe Rogan is racist, but in this she said she does believe that he is racist, because she believes that being racist means knowing that the thing you're doing is wrong and doing it anyway. And she said she does believe that he knew it was wrong. The way he talked about it and framed it indicated that he knew it was wrong, but he still did it anyway. And for her, that's what makes it racist.
I mean, he said he was in a black neighborhood and said that he felt like he was in the Planet of the Apes. Yeah, what the fuck?
And one of my friends asked me, how did I feel about it? Did I feel like he was a racist? And I was like, I don't think Joe Rogan is a racist. I think he's an opportunist. And what's been communicated is that his laid back, shoot the shit with somebody on the couch style of podcasting, he's never changed that way of interviewing. When in reality, you can't shoot the shit with people who have dangerous and racist ideologies. And my biggest issue is that he puts a lot of people who are racist and have problematic ideologies on a big platform.
Can you be passively racist? Because I feel like if you're not racist, it's like me sitting by and watching some bullshit happen and saying, "Well, I don't agree with it," but I had the ability to step in. Like, there are some situations where you can't do nothing, right? But there are situations where you can step in, and I feel like when you choose not to, you can't also say, "Well, I'm against it." Are you? Are you against it?
The thing about white people is that when they believe that, first off, they are connected. I mentioned this earlier. They get to see themselves as individuals. So they don't look at themselves through the behaviors of the group. And so when a white person says something racist, they don't look at it like racist people say the same things I just said, meaning that people may connect me with their ideology. What they say is, I'm not racist. Therefore, there is nothing in the English lexicon that I could say that is racist.
That's problematic.
And I think that's the case with how Joe Rogan was saying that word. Because we had a teacher in high school who did that. She was a Spanish teacher, but she was telling, and a history teacher, but she was telling some story. And she used the N word, like hard ER. And the class went wild about it but she thought that she could say the word because inherently she don't believe she's racist. And I think that Joe Rogan, I don't think he's racist, and I don't think he is intended for what he said to be offensive toward black people, not nigger, not the N word. I think he was saying it in context and repeating it and reading it and quoting it and all of them times that he said it, because in his mind, he wasn't using it flagrantly toward a group of people. I guess we have to look at the definition of an individual being racist, meaning do I believe that Joe Rogan himself believes that he is superior to black people because of the color of his skin? And I don't think so. I don't think that's the case. And I think that is the issue with a lot of white people. The issue is you don't have to feel that way the same way the men at the very beginning of time who made white supremacy, who sat at that round table felt. The reality is you're still perpetuating the rules that they created and the problems that they created, a system that made those problems exist without having to have that ideology. You know what I'm saying? Without having to think of yourself as being superior to black people. You're using the language of people who believe they're superior to black people. So I don't think that you can be specific about how those people respond to you when you use the language of the motherfucker. It's kind of like that joke Dave Chappelle told, where it's like, I think it was something like, don't look at me like I'm a whore. And he was like, you got on a whore uniform. What do you mean? You know? It's like, you don't wear a police uniform and be like, don't call me for help. You know, motherfucker, you got on a uniform on the motherfucker. You know, so like a lot of white people wear the uniform and use the language of white supremacy and racism, even though they don't believe that it should apply to them because they don't believe that them as an individual are racist or have these issues.
Even this conversation feels privileged. Like it feels he gets the privilege of still like, well, let's look at him individually and not in the context of what we don't get that. If we got on this podcast and was just using the F, even if we were using the F word as it pertains to gay people, telling stories, and we're not saying, we would be flagged and like murked. Like as black people, you don't get this. You don't, if we do something, you do not have people sitting around dissecting it and trying to look at us individually. And the fact that he gets that irritates my soul.
And I ain't giving him a pass. I ain't giving him a pass. I'm really speaking on the complexity of racism for the white community. But for me, he don't get a pass because he put motherfuckers like Proud Boys on there. And when I talked about him not changing his style of interview for the growth in his platform, is that you can't just he and ha ha with everybody there. You either agree with what they stand for and you he ha ha with them, or you don't agree with what they stand for and you're gonna challenge the shit out of them to make them have to defend themselves. They should be fighting for their life on your podcast if they are a problematic person.
That takes a level of courage that he don't have, though. It's easier to hee ha ha.
Very easy. It's hard to tell somebody they shouldn't use this kind of language. But no. I mean, and the worst thing is like, because India Irie was saying like the artists get paid 0.003 cents per play that they have.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a deal that Spotify made with the label industry. And so it's fucked up that they get to take all the extra money that they make from that botched ass deal
and then pay him
and then give it to Joe Rogan, which they say $100 million, but at the end of it's really $200 million. Because he got a lot of bonuses that come along with that. So it's indicated that $200 million will be what it is at the end of this shit. But again, you know, I don't give him a pass per se, but like I think that there is a context in which somebody can say words that are traditionally derogatory without intending for it to be adopted as such. And I just think that that's a privilege that white people get to have when it comes to that stuff. And again, cancel culture doesn't exist, y'all. Nobody has really been canceled.
No.
Everybody who has been canceled, air quotes, got the fucking job that they want and are doing the career that they had to do. They just may be laying low, but they still making the money. Ain't nobody getting canceled. But that's the only news I'm gonna do.
Oh, I mean, I feel like we would be remiss to not mention that. Is it Kim Potter got 2 years for killing?
Dante Wright.
You want to talk about privilege? You have people that are serving like long ass bids for drug violations, and she get 2 years for actually taking a human life. And this is why motherfuckers don't want to do shit like go on plantations. It's just it's too much. It's too much. Like present day shit is too much. And you want me to go and reminisce on old shit by being on your fucking plantation? Like, no, thank you. I don't think at this point, I don't think anybody's surprised when this shit happened, but it's still sad. And it still just makes you disheartened. Even though you expected it, it's still just like, damn, again. And I mean, it's not even going to be 2 years. She's going to get time served, so it'll be less than that. And she's smiling and shit because she knows she got away with it. Like when she's smiling, like most of the time when you see people with their mugshots and shit, they solemn, they look sad, they like, oh, I fucked up. They had that I fucked up face. She's smiling and cheesing, happy. Because she knew it was gonna happen.
His mama said white women tears trump justice.
Yeah.
The judge even cried at sentencing, asking for sympathy for the ex-cop. Sympathy for fucking what?
Like, where the sympathy for him? Like, it just, I don't think that they realize what they're saying when they say things. Like sometimes what you say can be a double-edged sword. Like you said, oh my God, please have sympathy for her, but that also means like fuck him. Like, yeah, I know she killed him, but please don't think about that. Think about how this is gonna impact her life. You mean the life she still has? You mean the fact that she's still walking around breathing and shit? Like, it's just, it's tiresome. I'm tired.
Yeah.
You get real tiresome, bro.
Yeah.
But I wanted to just mention it because I feel like it deserves to be mentioned. Again, we all know we knew this was how it was going to end and how most of these situations end and shit, but it's still, I think it still hurts whenever it happens. It's like, yeah, I know my nigga beat me, but it still hurts when it happens.
Very much so.
Like them punches still hurt even though I know they coming. So that doesn't mean it hurts any less.
Mm-hmm. Well, that being said, you got anything else on your mind?
No, I'm glad we're back. I feel we need to end on a happier note. I'm glad we're back. Like I said, I don't get to rant and rave because I don't really talk like about like politics or like the current event, like the stuff we talk about on the show. Me and him would have had the conversation. The whole point of these are actual conversations that we just have. We literally just recorded. These are like, things we would talk about.
Before we did a podcast, we would be sitting on her couch just having conversations about all of the stuff we be talking about on the show.
Yeah.
And giving our different perspectives and just shooting the shit. And we just decided to start recording it, put a little bit of structure to it, even though, as y'all can tell, it's really unstructured. We don't really prepare for the show like that. Most of this stuff is like we gather up stories that we want to talk about and get each other's real expressions. Like, I don't know what Reddit letters she bringing. She don't know what Reddit letters I'm bringing. Same thing with news. We both just stay relatively informed enough to kind of know what's going on most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So we do have a perspective on it. We're therapists, so a lot of this comes from the lens of two therapists, even though we ain't therapists when we're doing this show.
No.
We are very politically incorrect and can't control our mouths.
No. Which makes it fun. I feel like that's the fun part. And that's why I miss it and why I'm glad that we're back. So
to those of you who've been listening to the show, appreciate you for joining and having this dialogue with us again. For those of you who are new to the show, give us some time and don't hold us to the sins of the shit we said a year ago if it sounds crazy. Ask us about it today.
Yes.
Some of them episodes wild as fuck.
They are. Oh, the R. Kelly one. You know what? Whenever somebody, like I introduce somebody to the podcast, that R. Kelly episode where you did the songs, where we made like new songs for an album for him.
Yeah.
That's the one that I always send to people.
Yeah.
This shit was hilarious, even to me.
Yeah.
So, like most of the time, when people think we're funny, I'm like, are we funny? We just be talking. Like, I don't get it. But that episode, I was like, that shit is fucking hilarious. Like, every now and then we'll do some shit that I'm like, oh, this is gold. Most of the time, I'm just like, we just shooting the shit. I don't know why people care.
Agreed. But that being said, until we come to the next conversation,
We out.
holla.